I'd like to call the meeting of the Land and Facilities Management Committee meeting to order for Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. Roll call.
Yes, sir. Mr. Clyde Buchanan.
Here.
Ms. Tina Babin.
Here.
Ms. Jenny Holbrook. Here.
Thank you. Okay, item 2, to receive a report from Andy Positeri on Thibodeau Middle School.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm going to stand right here because I actually have a little slideshow for y'all tonight. So first report, or the report I have tonight on Thibodeau Middle School. The current contracts, just to recap some numbers real quick, $28,747,256. Out of that amount, the contract was completed a little over 80%, or a little over $23 million of payment. Contract time review. Again, the notice to proceed was issued back on June 21st of 2021. The current completion date for the entire project is September 8th, 2024, or a little over 56% of that contract time that's elapsed. So I know in the last several months I've come up here and I've said a lot of the same things. So I figured tonight I'd probably show you some pictures. Pictures worth 1,000 words. So and it's not a lot, so just bear with me, maybe 14 pictures. So I don't know if y'all have been around the site lately. Just a view from kind of over the baseball field at E.D. White, looking at the front of the building. All of the brick is in, all of the windows are in, the exterior doors and storefront are all installed. All of the brick has been washed, at least one pass of washing. They still will make a second pass closer to the end of the job. But a few views from the outside. This is a view kind of over the East Thibodeau Middle School campus, looking at the 6th grade wing on the left, 7th grade wing on the right. As we move around the back of the building, so the 7th grade wing is that wing that's in the foreground. You can see the play yard in the back. Yeah, the mouse works. This is the play area that will be sodded at the end of the job. Cafeteria and dining area here, and then the two gymnasiums in this volume. This is a shot from over the West Thibodeau campus, just kind of looking at the south side of the building. That's the two gymnasium volumes, and then an entrance from what will be the staff parking area here, and then entrance into the building. There'll be some parent pick up and drop off canopy over this little area here. All that work's continuing. Moving to the interior of the building, this is just a shot of the main entry lobby as you walk through the front doors. It's a kind of a 2-story high volume. We'll have some graphics on this wall that's above the receptionist window. To the right side of that is going to be the library, which is a kind of a shot entering the library now. Again, another 2-story volume. Lots of natural light, some light into the windows on that 2nd floor to the 8th grade wing. So there'll be a lot of natural light that extends there as well. Backside of the receptionist desk, again looking out towards the entry lobby. This is a view kind of standing in the middle of the main corridor, looking north towards East Thibodeau, which would be towards the 6th and 7th grade wings. And the dining area is the large glass area on the left is the dining area. So this is kind of turning and looking into the dining space with a view out towards the play area. And the other half of the dining room. So these pictures were all taken yesterday, so this is fairly recent. A typical classroom. This happens to be one of the classrooms in the 6th grade wing. So typical classroom, they've got flooring going in right now in the 6th grade wing. And ceilings are in, as you can see. So this is just from the same classroom from another angle looking back towards the door coming in. That door is not the permanent door, that's just a temporary door that they had in there right now. This is a couple shots of the competition gym. So this view is going to be where all of the bleacher seating is going to be. We'll have, again, bleacher seating for 1,000 on this wall. And the other view is we're looking towards a little don't want to call it a stage, just more of a platform area, elevated platform. That's it. That was the last shot there. So that's kind of a quick snapshot of work in place. There are two other items on the agenda, but they're change order items. So unless there's any questions about the
Any questions from the public or the board in reference to his report?
Beautiful, love the picture. Thank you.
All right, we have a question.
yes.
It's more for y'all too, because you are the history holders of the school being built, and I'm new, so, what did y'all decide on teaching? Just out of curiosity, like, in the planning.
I can take that.
Okay.
In the program in the school is so large that we need to run 2 PEs concurrently.
That's right.
That's
And one is going to function. The pictures that I have was the competition gym, so there'll be a full competition wood basketball court. The other gym is more of an auxiliary gym where practices can take place. They'll still be striped for basketball and volleyball and all that. One of the competition gym will just have an elevated level of finishes to it.
E, to consider a change order request for Thibodeau Middle School to add 1 day to the contract due to inclement weather.
Yes, this is for the month of March. We're requesting 1 day on the change order added to the contract for the inclement weather that occurred in the month of March.
Thank you. I do need a motion. Motion by Ms. Babin, second by Mrs. Marlborough. Any questions from the public? Any questions from the board? Okay.
I know what the law says, because you've done this how many times, but it said in here that the site couldn't be accessed. What parts of the site couldn't be accessed, and where was the work taking place?
They're still doing a lot of brick washing on the exterior of the building. There were one of those shots from the back of the building. They were starting to put the insulated metal panels on an elevated part, so they can't do that if the site's too muddy.
All
I
right.
just have a comment that Mr. Henry LaFont would be so proud of you. Just one.
Might take Just taking it one month at a time right now.
All right. Any additional questions or comments from the board? If none, please vote.
And every time I submit these changes.
I'm sure you do. We all do.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item C, staying with Mr. Angie Positeri, to consider a change order request for Thibodeau Middle School to stain and paint the competition gym floor.
Yes, and this request is in regard to the newly chosen school logo and mascot. And the paint to be required for that totals $8,158.40 and will require 3 additional days to the contract. So we are requesting the addition of the $8,158.40 and 3 days to accomplish having that put on the gym floor. Logo and mascot.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mrs. Marlborough, second by Mrs. Babin. Any questions from the public? Concerns? Any from the panel? If none, please vote. It passes. Thank you very much for your report and for everything you're doing for this new school.
I'll leave this presentation with Dean too.
All right, moving on to the next item, 3. Mr. David Gobert is here, it looks like. Item A, to receive a report from Mr. Gobert or Justin Cortez on security phase 6.
Good evening. We had a meeting actually this morning with the fire marshal finally to do our walkthroughs at all 3 sites. Unfortunately, we only got 2 of the sites completed and had to reschedule 6th Ward for the week of the 1st, as the fire marshal had prior engagements. But good news is Bayou Blue got complete approval, and LCO Middle got a temporary approval only because y'all are having a maintenance issue with your main fire alarm panel there. And since that can't be cleared up, we couldn't get the fire alarm or the new area green tag. So the fire marshal couldn't sign off on it yet. But they are confident that once they get the main panel working, everything will be approved. And then 6th Ward again will follow quickly after that.
Any questions from the public or concerns? I'm sorry. Any motion for a report?
Okay.
Report. Okay. Any from the board, any board member, any questions? All right, moving on. Thank you, sir. Moving on to item B. Staying with you also, to consider a change order request for security phase 6 at 6th Ward Middle School.
Yes, the recommended action here is to accept a change order request for security phase 6 at 6th Ward Middle School to add $18,357 to the contract, and this is for the purpose of adding 2 handicapped accessible parking spaces with a loading zone, striping, and signage. Also a little fencing, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have a new, an additional service gate. And also we added a door position switch on one door to the front of the site, which was only overlooked because it didn't exist on the floor plans. Even the plans Evan had that he forwarded to us had no indication that that door existed. So it was added in as part of this.
I need a motion, please. Mr. Tina Battle first. Second, Mrs. Jamie Marlborough. Any questions or concerns from the public? Any from the board members? Yes, Ms. Marlborough?
I'm assuming that was not included initially, right? The work.
No, none of the stuff added as change order was in the original scope.
So was that at the request of Mr. Martin, or was that just something that needed to be decided?
That was a request made by the principal, talking of the parking area. It was a request made of the principal because when we put the new fencing in that separates private from public on the site, it was realized that several people who had mobility issues, and there is a large sort of bus turning or car turning gravel area that's in front of the gym. They were actually using the sidewalk on the side so they could offload someone. But once we segregated that from the gravel area, there was no easy way for a handicapped person to get into the gym.
With no other concerns or questions, please vote. Motion passes. David, thank you very much for your report. Item 4, Mr. Daniel Bruce, to receive a report from Daniel Bruce on Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School.
Hello. They continue to do what they can. They're down to waiting on 3 pieces of equipment: a condenser, a cassette, and a control module. They have every reason to believe that that should be coming in pretty soon. So a lot of the work that they have left to do, like the kitchen hood, that's going to start May 18th. As soon as the kids are done, they're going to basically start ripping off hoods and redoing the kitchen, which they couldn't have done anyway because they didn't want to leave the kids without a hot meal over a 2 or 3 week time span anyway. But all of the equipment should be there in the next month. Be ready to finish this job for the summer. That's where we are.
That includes the 150-day calendar.
The 150-day calendar day extends their contract time from July 22nd.
I wanted to ask, but I knew I should. No, I'm sorry.
You know, I told him before I was going to ask him.
I'm glad that's only 3 pieces of equipment.
Any other questions or concerns
Every time.
for Mr. Daniel Bruce? All right, we do thank you for your report, sir. Item number 5, we're going with Bob Bernard to receive a report from Mr. Bob Bernard with All South Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. You have the floor, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Bad sign that you need water to get this.
No, don't worry. It's been a long night. It's going to be short, I promise. Go to page 3, if you would, Ashley. We'll start in the back, work our way through the front. So bidding, just to let y'all know, Ms. LaFawn will be going over the bid that we had for LCO interior. We had 5 bidders. We had good participation. Low bidder was at I think 1.26 million. Budget was at 1.8. So we continue to come in under budget, which is a good sign. And the fact that we had 5 bidders is a excellent sign. Freetown was a low bidder. This is their 4th one. Actually 3rd contract for 4 different schools. They're doing Golden Meadow Upper. Are doing W.S. LaFarge. They're doing St. Charles Elementary, and they'll be on this one, LCO. So far they've been a good contractor. So looking forward to working with them on this one. May bids coming up, and we're going to be winding down. We have Galliano East Thibodeau is only the cafeteria, so that's part of the BCA, right? Galliano Elementary, and then 6th Ward coming out to bid in May, and then Central Lafourche High School, which is a big roof project, and CM Washington will also bid in May. And then that's going to wind down to the June bids. We have those 10 not small campuses, but 10 campuses with little damage. That's going to be as one bid package. And then Golden Meadow middle roof package should be ready in June to go out. That's pretty critical. A little overdue, but there was a lot involved in that because of the historical part of it, to get that roof put back and approved as it was before. And then the to be determined are the bigger projects that under mitigation, and that's going to take time under FEMA review. Okay, next one, please. Back, the other way. All right, there was, we talked temporary roofs. We're down to just a handful of temp roofs now. We still have some leak issues at South Lafourche High School, albeit minor, except for one that's at the auditorium that we haven't gotten to yet to do a temporary, permanent dry-in. This picture shows you at the top 2 was the auditorium. Well, that's not the auditorium, actually, that's the classroom addition. That wasn't quite finished. We had some high winds over the weekend. I think it was Saturday, 60-mile-an-hour winds that tore up some of the temporary roofs. The leaks were not major. You can see the 3rd picture on the bottom left slide shows the leaks. That's what we're getting. But what I wanted you to look at is the crew on the top right picture. That was on the weekend. Our inspector was out there, called them out, and got the repairs done over the weekend. So that's the kind of effort we're getting from the contractor to take care of these leak issues. Good sign. The picture at the bottom right is North Rose, just showing you some of the damages that were caused by the wind, and knowing that temp roofs are temporary roofs. We talked about this. We've been talking about this. The good news is we're getting close to getting those replaced with permanent roofs and dried in. Continuing down with the wind damage we had this past weekend, that is Golden Meadow Middle. The picture on the top left is the south elevation, which gets all the wind. Not too bad considering, but no leak inside of the building. So that's good. This is a tricky one because this roof is going to be, replaced in the next 6 months. And we're trying to, it's a fine line between spending a lot of money for another temp roof or keeping Band-Aids on what we have. Either way, there's cost involved. So we're trying to, figure out the best course of action on this one. The north side of the building, top right slide, you can see it's in pretty good shape. All right, next one. All right, so that takes us through the roof leaks that we had. Again, we're only down to a handful. So gradually we're getting out of the temp roofs and getting more to the permanent. South Lafourche High School, this is just some work happening on the exterior of the building, middle wall panels primarily. That left picture is the, auditorium? No, band building. Yep, being stripped of the old paneling, getting prepped for the new. Top right picture is the entrance. Stucco work was going on. It's since been complete. Dismantled, scaffolding is gone and all cleaned up. Bottom left picture is a 2-story classroom building. You can see the wall panels being installed. Since this picture, that's now completed that particular wall section. And then new glazing going in, bottom right picture. All right, next slide. All right, more work on the South Lafourche. That's the auditorium, top left. Those panels that you see exposed are the original aggregate panels. The original or the metal panels that were there got ripped off during the storm. So you can see how that side of the building has been exposed to the elements, right? The black that you see on the left part is the waterproofing they're putting on. So that whole wall is going to get coated with that black mastic as a damp proofing. Picture to the right shows the progress ongoing since the mastic was put on, and you have wall panels being put onto that elevation of the auditorium. And then bottom two pictures are just showing you the finished product of the low slope roofs with the final cap sheet, and workers are putting in the edge trim, just doing the buttoning up the perimeters. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a Google image of South Lafourche High School. Everything in yellow is what's completed to date, 100% complete. The rest of the gray area is dried in and is just waiting on the final cap sheet. So a lot has happened, and they're getting very close to wrapping this up. Any questions? All right, next slide. Continuing with roof work, this is at LCO. This is a 2-story classroom building. Workers have taken off the old roof down to the lightweight concrete. This is complete by now, by the way. This roof is all dried in. The bottom two pictures show you the work in progress and the final dry-in cap sheet that they put on, bottom right picture. Next slide. All right, this is LCO's, again, Google imagery. Building 10, the top middle is a gymnasium, which had been completed some time back. Library building had very little work, damage done to it. That's in the top right-hand corner. The building in yellow is the one that we just looked at, tearing the roof off. It is now dried in. And Bulldog Base, which is building 5, all the way to the left, they started drawing that building in this week, and they're going to be close to having that finished, if not this week, by early next week. The only thing left to remain to be dried in is going to be the cafeteria, building 1A and 3A, 3B. So by the time the interior work starts in a couple of months, we'll have dry in of all roofs. So it shouldn't affect the interior work. All right, next slide. It's Bayou Blue, right? Okay, top left, they started damp proofing. That's what the yellow is that you see on there. That's the damp proof material going in. The decking and the cover board has been put on the roof. Top right picture. Bottom left is just edge details showing the flashing. That gives you an idea. These pictures are from our inspectors that Allsouth has, and that's the level of detail when they get out there. That's what they're looking for, right? Getting close-ups, getting shots, work in progress, work installed, communicating with architect. You know, if they see a problem or they think there may be a problem, to make sure it's addressed. And then bottom right picture is the interior. Doesn't show much, but they did a lot of MEP rough-in, mechanical rough-in, plumbing, and electrical has started. Okay. This looks terrible, but that's just what a contractor has to fight with temporary roofs. This is at North Rose. He's actually doing a pretty good job, I think, and John, would you admit, considering
the situation he's in,
yeah,
they're really
what he's dealing with.
they're keeping it dry at the end of every day to make sure.
That's the mechanical room, the bottom left picture. So protecting equipment, trying their best to keep it dried in until they get roof truss and then roofing on. We were there yesterday. They started the roof truss over the mechanical room. So by the end of the day, maybe, they'll have decking, and tomorrow, before the next set of rain, we'll have at least the mechanical room area with new roof truss, decking, dried in, ready for the weekend. Okay. And finally, this is Golden Meadow Upper. Left picture in the red box of the 5 buildings that were heavily damaged that have been since demolished. So you can kind of see work in progress. Buildings were taken out. And that looks a little bit different today, but that work is complete. Bottom right picture is just one of the temporary buildings that was not heavily damaged, but enough to where we had to take everything out to strip the floors, and then they ended up putting a new roof on that building due to damages. So just a small temporary building. This will show some of the work in progress. Okay, go back to page 1, please. South Lafourche High School, substantial completion. Daniel, are we still shooting for April 30th? April 30th on substantial at South Lafourche High School. So that's a good sign. That gets us out of the next hurricane season. Well, good for the contract, I guess, but also good that we, won't get hit with another deductible charge getting past the date of that May 1st. So it'll be substantially complete at that time, where owner's going to take ownership, right? Warranties will kick in, and then the rest of what they'll have to finish will be basically a punch list. And then interior work, as we know, is going to be starting this summer. So again, the leaks aren't a concern as far as impeding interior work, although we still may have a few we're chasing, right? Even with a roof that's finished. Not uncommon to have a few issues, but nothing that will affect interior. We discussed Cutoff Elementary, Bayou Blue Building 7, North Rose Upper, ROTC and Cheer, FEMA review. Working back and forth with architect and FEMA to get those buildings at 50% damaged, so we can tear them down and rebuild them. Again, that's a long haul. Okay. Same thing with our mitigation projects. Nothing new to report on Bayou Buff, Watermeadow Middle, and Raceland Upper. It's in the works, where we're dealing with architect, our FEMA team, getting packages ready to submit to the FEMA. Discussions are always ongoing with our FEMA team, with AllSouth, with GOSEP, and FEMA, letting them know what's coming up, what we have going on, and keeping them apprised of everything that's under development. Central Lafourche and South Lafourche athletic fields, pretty much complete. The press boxes and concession stands, I've been pushing them on the back burner, I'll be honest with you. We had, bigger fish to fry, because this also is a mitigation issue, right? A lot of money involved in it. This is something we wanted FEMA blessing before money was spent on these structures. They're somewhat of a gray area. So, FEMA's plate is full. We found that out. So is ours. So everything we're doing is delegating it and putting high priority items first, and then putting the low fruit, last. So that's going to happen soon, because we know it's a time crunch to get this finished for our next season. So this is going to be brought back up. St. Charles Elementary temporary building is scheduled for delivery May 8th. We may have to push that back a week or two, but still no concern as far as meeting schedule. Again, this is because of FEMA and the HP review. They're having issues. I think y'all heard some of that in the last meeting we had with the FEMA team. They're behind. And we can't do anything ground disturbing until FEMA and the HP reviews it and gives us their blessing. So, again, we got a couple of weeks afloat where we think we'll still be okay, get the buildings in, get them set up, get everything moved in before school starts in August. We're still, going to meet that goal. All right, the rest of these are, 12 through 17. If there's any specifics, I won't go to each one individually unless you have a question about any one. Okay? All right.
Any questions for Mr. Bob? Rick, I think we have a question.
y'all might be able to answer it. The damage from the roof, from the temporary roofs, is that something the school board is gonna have to take care of if the damage goes beyond? Or is that something FEMA's gonna take care of because per se we have to wait on that because we're waiting on FEMA and it incurs more damage from rain, storms we're already having? Like, where's that money gonna come from to pay?
So
for that?
FEMA's gonna cover that cost.
Okay.
So in the case of go to middle, that's taking time, yeah, I mean, if we have to put a new chip roof on it and then tear it off in 2 months, FEMA's gonna cover that cost. Okay,
Thank you, Bob.
all right, thank y'all.
Can I say that? The pictures were awesome, and that picture, although it looked disturbing from North Rose, when you go in, it's really disturbing. And I gotta say that principal's doing a very good job. She's doing way more with way less. So just compliment people at North Rose.
New business, item 6, to receive bids for Hurricane Ida repairs to the Rose Cutoff Middle School.
Sir, these bids were opened on April 13th, 2023, and the recommended action is to accept the low bid from Freetown Builders for a base bid of $883,000, alternate number 1 in an amount of $270,000, alternate number 2 in an amount of $109,000, for a total bid amount of $1,262,000. This is for Hurricane Ida repairs of the Rose Cutoff Middle School Phase 2.
Sir, you have the floor.
All right. So yeah, we reviewed all the bids last week and determined that Freetown was the lowest bidder. We received all the required post-bid docs. Everything was in line. And then, of course, you were making the recommendation also for alternate 1 and 2 to be accepted. And we determined with John Shermy that alternate number 3 wouldn't be necessary, as the school board could actually cover that for a less expensive cost. Than alternate number 3 was to change all the lighting fixtures throughout the whole school to LED fixtures because they're all the old T8 fluorescent bulbs right now. And y'all could do that for a better price than what the contractor was offering on it. So it makes sense for y'all to take care of that instead of them at a future time. And then alternate number 1 and 2 are both, just to give a little, they're both mainly, mechanical equipment that was determined by us and Robert. I might let Robert speak a little bit to it, so that way I'm not tripping over any more words. I think it's a little technical. You want to just give a little rundown real quick of what alternate 1 and 2 were?
Alternate number 1 was fresh air equipment for putting ventilation in the classrooms to meet code. And what was existing there for the fresh air systems did not meet code. There were fresh air systems in the 2-story building, but they were done on, you have to understand when they did this, it was in the 83 or so, when they would first install the air conditioning. And they would just pick up air from leave the doors open on the building, air would blow through, the corridors were not conditioned. They would pull air into this unit and then go and dump it in the classrooms, condition a little bit and then dump it in the classrooms. And the air would come back out, realistically the air would come back out of the classroom, get back in the hallway, mix with it. You weren't really getting that kind of fresh air in there, but that was the intent of it. So you had a fresh air system. You meet the requirement of already having this equipment, and it's required for code also. What we did was we put in some fresh air equipment that would handle the air properly. And so just in case we got in an argument with FEMA, having it as an alternate is a way for us to break that price out. So we did that as an alternate number 1. Alternate number 2 was, we changed out, there was a lot of damage in the 2-story area, but the single front area where the admin was not as badly done. But we do think that the system is damaged on the admin area. So we wanted to go ahead and break that as an alternate number 2, so that if we had to make that argument with FEMA, but we do think that hurricane damage that occurred to it, we're really not going to know until we start to remove it and be able to take the system apart, because it's so tightly built into that space. It's original to the building. So by the by the limited area, we recommend that be inspected to see if it is hurricane damage when it's removed. And we expect to find that it is.
All right, so that's it. If y'all have any questions.
Okay, so this is, it's a motion to act on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First, Mrs. Babin, second, Mrs. Marlborough. Any questions from the public in reference to this item? Any questions from board members? With none, please vote. The motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Item B, to consider a change order request for the Rose Cutoff Middle School for the re-roofing project.
Yes, the recommended action here is to accept a change order request for LaRose Cutoff Middle School to add $8,090 to the contract to cover unforeseen increases in the cost of roofing materials between order date and the delivery date.
Take this
All
one
right,
too.
Mr. Justin, thank you.
So at the beginning, when we first put this project out, we knew for a fact that there was going to be a long lead times on recovery board and insulation for the roofing on the project. And a lot of the contractors made us aware that they could put in an order with the manufacturer, and they would quote them a price then and there, but the price wouldn't be set until the materials actually shipped. So they were concerned that they would be quoting or bidding a project with one price, and then 9 months down the road, they get their order shipment set, and now it's $8,000 more, just like in this change order. And that's what happened. So we had them document at the beginning what they were quoted, and then at this point in time, they turned in all their receipts for the up charges, and that's what they're requesting the additional funding for.
Motion, Mrs. Babin first, Mrs. Marlborough second. Any questions for Mr. Justin from the public? Any from the members, board members? If none, please vote. Item passes. Thank you, sir. Moving to C, to consider a change order request for W.S. LaFleur Elementary School to decrease the contract amount.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept a change order request for W.S. LaFleur Elementary to decrease the contract amount by $80,981.88 to delete the repairs for T buildings 4, 6, 7, 10, and 12. It's my understanding is because these buildings are slated for demolition.
Motion by Mrs. Babin, second by Mrs. Marlborough. Any questions to Mr. Bob or Mr. Martin from the public? With none, any from the board? All right. I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item D, to consider a change order request for W.S. LaFleur Elementary School to replace exterior light fixtures on building number 2.
Yes, sir. This is to accept a change order request for W.S. LaFleur Elementary to replace exterior light fixtures on building number 2 in the amount of $971.48. And this is in relation to the contract.
Motion please, Mrs. Babin first and Mrs. Marlborough second. Any concerns or questions for anybody in the audience or Mr. Martin? You have a question? Okay.
Maybe two.
Later. That's just.
Could be the one or back there.
I hope it's an LED one at least.
All right. Any other questions? It's a good.
It's a better price than what we
Everything's
could
very
do.
expensive right now, so, you know, it's like.
Did have a motion and a second, so please vote. Passes. Thank you. Item E, to consider a change order request for Lockport Upper Elementary School for furniture removal.
Our recommended action here is to accept a change order request for Lockport Upper Elementary School to add $9,765 and 5 additional days to the contract to move the furniture in and out of the classrooms in order for the flooring to be removed and replaced.
Do I have a motion, please? Ms. Marlboro first, second, Mrs. Babin. Any discussion from any board member? Oh,
The contractor gonna be moving this furniture?
any other questions? We'll ask you please vote.
Furniture once, my niece is 46 years old.
Item passes. Item F, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to South Lafourche High School.
Yes, the recommended action here would be to accept a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to South Lafourche High School to decrease the contract by the amount of $1,051,640. And we will ask Mr. Daniel Bruce to explain those numbers, or that number.
Come on down.
I like coming to tell y'all how we're giving y'all back $1 million. The two biggest items though were the hurricane deductibles if y'all remember from the beginning of the job. We put the deductibles in as a unit price so that if they weren't used, instead of the contractor just keeping that money, we basically give it back to the school board. Now, it's not like he's being put back in your bank account because it's just money's not expended, so it's never going to get reimbursed by FEMA because it's never been expended. The other couple of $1 million are just changes that were made to, if y'all remember South Lafourche High School, the auditorium and gym had vertical metal wall panels. We designed it back like it was, but then through the course of some value engineering and just discussions, we went to a horizontal rib panel, which y'all saw pictures of from Bob's report tonight. So that saved $55,000 because we were able to eliminate some framing. I think it actually looks better than what the other panels looked. We omitted some rigid wall insulation. We were gonna clad both the classroom building, the band room building, and the auxiliary gymnasium with a continuous R value insulation that wasn't put back in 2000 when we designed the building. It was going to be an add. This was back when Evan was here. He basically said, no, we don't need to do that. So we took that as a credit. That's $50,682. The metal edge trim, instead of going with stainless steel, which was what was there, we went with 24 gauge pre-finished metal, saved $117,000. I don't know if y'all need me to go through every one of these, but basketball equipment, we reused some existing floor sleeves instead of buying new ones. The old were okay, so we just reused them, saved $2,400. $366 was a switch to move the curtain up and down. We saved that. $7,300 EPS insulation. When we had to tear off the entire roof deck, there was some insulation that we didn't need to use that we were planning on using to recover the roof, but we had to take the whole roof system off, put a whole new roof system back. So there was a credit for the insulation that we didn't have to use. $41,972 for vapor barrier coating at the gym. It was tested. There was no moisture in the floor system, so we didn't have to coat it. So we were able to take that back as a credit. We had scheduled for every roof drain to be replaced in its entirety. When we got to the roof drains, they were okay. So we omitted I think it was 80 roof drain replacements for a credit of $121,300. And then the canopy structure, basically in consultation with All South, we couldn't replace the canopy in total. We had to maintain the existing structure. So we omitted the framing of the canopy and just replaced the top of the canopy, and we were able to save $55,000 on that. Total credit of $438,208. On the ad side of things, at the beginning of the project, we had to get a temporary gas line run to the dryers for the field house. That was $4,639. Freight and storage for the gym floors, because we had to store them separately. Y'all have seen some of these already. Was $4,100. Roof cover board increase, kind of what Justin just explained. The ordered material at the beginning of the job, the actual price was when it was shipped 12 months or 8 months later, like $13,000 extra. Prep, prime, and paint the gym. So we swapped the coating on the floor to repaint the entire gym. We would have repainted the gym and the entire package no matter what, but we just got this contractor to do it while they were in the gym with scaffolding and all the other things that were going on. So we just took care of the gym. So like the gym's completely finished now. Of course, we replaced the lights in the gyms from the old T8 lamps to all LED fixtures, $15,000 and $22,000. Vapor permeable coating, that was, the school board was going to buy that material. That's no longer available via state contract, so we had to have the contract to buy that material. So that was $63,000. And there's another line item 39, which is another $20,000 for that. Special needs, there were some electrical items I needed to get taken care of, $1,787. So instead of complete replacement of the roof drains, we put retrofit drains in. That was a $49,937 add. We replaced one winch on one basketball goal in the competition gym that was burnt. They're unusable, so we replaced the winch so all the goals are now operating. The top of walls at the auxiliary gym and two-story classroom, and putting the new wall panels on. The very top of the top 16 inches of the wall, there was nothing for them to screw anything into. So we had to add some framing and some drywall and plywood for that. That was $27,000. The recessed windows, when we took out the 1 inches of insulation, we had to push the windows back in the wall a little bit so that it would flush out with the new panels. We had to go cut the drywall off the inside the windows and push those back about an inch. That was $340. And then the last item was when they got to the lights at the field house and the main entrance to reinstall them in the soffits. They were damaged. They were just hanging up in the air. They couldn't put them back in. So we took it. It was an ad to put those lights back, fix the lights that were damaged at $4,223. For a total ad of $276.76,239. So all total, a credit of $1,051,640.
Thank you.
Very good. You did a great job.
Best news we heard all day.
Any questions from anybody? Please have a question. All right.
That's a very good
With,
job.
with none, we do, it just said, a motion by Mrs. Knapp, second by Mrs. Marlboro. Now, any questions or none? Please vote. Thank you. You did that very well. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Moving to item G, to receive a report on bids received for hunting and fishing privileges on Section 16, Township 19 South, Range 20 East, Monteshan.
Yes, we opened bids on April 14th, 2023 for these hunting and fishing privileges. We received 2 bids, And our recommendation is to accept the high bid in the amount of $4,010 annually from Lance Nacio for hunting and fishing privileges on Section 16, Township 19S, Range 20E, One Shin.
Motion, Mrs. Bath, second by Mrs. Marlboro. Any comments from the, there you go.
Ron Sopke, 110 Bourgeois Street, Racine, Louisiana. Mr. Morton, I don't know if you ever thought of this. All these townships, you know, they're usually close to water, and you know what happens around water in South Louisiana, especially this one, which I think is in your district, Mr. Chairman. You ever thought about maybe possibly trying to sell these things instead of bid them out?
Sell Section 16 land?
Yeah, yeah. You can't? Okay, all right. I thought maybe you could get rid of that and make them pay the taxes, and you know, you gain some money that way.
I can
better than having
It's
to go
given
through
to
all
the
this
school board by
paperwork.
the state to make money. I can explain it to you later.
Okay.
That's not.
Thank you.
Pretty good bid myself. Motion, please. Do we have a motion? Ready to motion? We do vote? Vote, please. Let me know. Item passes. Finally, waiting in the wings patiently. We're going to receive a report from lead accountant Shasta Shessel in reference to ongoing project budgets.
Our major construction fund has 2 bond referendums. The 2017 bond has a total referendum of $19.2 million. The budgets for these projects are $19.2 million. Actuals spent to date with encumbrances total $17.5 million. We have opened the project for the IDA 21 owner updates for all sites with the $1.1 million of undedicated funds that we had from our last meeting. Therefore, we have all funds obligated to a specific project at this time. So for the 2021 bond, has a total referendum of $48.5 million. The total budgets for these projects are $48.5 million. The actuals spent to date and encumbrances total $33.5 million. We have opened a project in this fund for the IDA 21 owner updates for all sites with the $10.1 million from the undedicated funds. Therefore, we have all funds obligated to a specific project at this time.
Any questions in reference to the report? Thank you very much for your report and for being so patient. Any other business brought before this committee?
In my district, so
Do you have any good news?
I do. Just drove in. Fantastic evening tonight. Again, 680,000 kids in K-12 schools in Louisiana. 680,000. Tonight I was with 24 students, right? And we had 2 of our kids amongst those 24. So when you think about the pure math behind that, and then one of our kids, the middle school kid, not to take away from the Claymore young lady, who's phenomenal, the high school kid from Thibodeau, she's amazing. But Blakely Fowler wins state middle school student of the year. So I think I had more fun than you today.
Not over yet. All right, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Good. Good questions. No, always good questions.
Well, I try to ask questions, like, there's some that I stopped because I still had questions about, like, the roof.
That man's promising us.
Like, we've got so much roof
Set that point
work
together.
going on right now.
That man's
and my
promising us.
I had to learn what roof.
So we'll let you come back.